Fuck, your room is so goddamn dusty.
Yeah, it is pretty dusty. I'm sorry.
Oh, like my... Okay. Topic 4, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. Mario's shocked. I said something untowards.
Yes.
Anyways, we are talking about the rather intense topic of, are you still mature if you watch anime? Are you immature for enjoying anime? It's gonna be interesting because
I want to hear your opinion on this because I think it'll be interesting.
I think that an enjoyment of anime, you can be mature to enjoy anime, but ultimately it hits the points of immaturity that make you enjoy it. You can watch anime and be mature, but ultimately it's the immaturity, the childish nature that makes you love it. The gore, the violence, the crazy over-the-top stuff, like, that's really locking into something childhood and young and arguably immature. So that's where I think it sort of comes into the sexualization, the violence, the gratuity of anime has its roots in immaturity. It doesn't mean you're immature for watching, but I think it's silly to deny the fact that if you enjoy this crazy stuff that you're seeing, it is spurned by a childish love.
I get that fact, but when obviously when people think of maturity, it's like about handling yourself in a mature sort of like being able to look after yourself and being able to I wouldn't say I'd like to say conform to society, but kind of is.
So your idea of whether or not watching anime and maturity is whether or not you can be respected as an adult for watching anime. Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's more
interesting. Interesting.
I think that really plays into, like, I get what you're saying with that, but I think where I'm getting at is like how it's perceived as, because like if I watch anime, when I watch anime, I want to tell people I watch anime, especially people who are not really into watching cartoons and stuff. Some of my other friends, which is maybe a topic we need.
Anime is ultimately quite mature, as I said. It doesn't talk down to you,
but people have the perspective that anime is immature.
Yeah, because it's cartoons.
Well, but they don't think about like the gory side of things or like the overall sexualized sort of things. Like most of this content's not meant for people under the age of 15. No. Like,
and I think that recently the trend is changing for where people are more accepting of it.
Oh yeah,
because of not just older generations being aged out, but stuff like Rick and Morty, like BoJack Horseman, like Bob's Burgers, to an extent, Family Guy.
It's good. It's good because you with cartoons you can get away with a lot more stuff like that you couldn't do in the physical world.
Yeah, and you can say far more hard-hitting things because it's not coming from a person per se.
It's not really funny. So someone can say like something in a cartoon form. They can say something, and no one will care. Then a person in real life who gets on camera says it, and they will like crucify that person.
Yes.
For saying such things.
Seth MacFarlane can get away with saying some awful stuff in Family Guy.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he gets in trouble for the things he says in Family Guy and American Dad. But he sings a song about breasts as himself in front of a live audience. And he's a menace to society. Not because of the countless sexual assault jokes or racism that's thrown in his other shows, but he talked about boobs in front of people on live TV. So there is this weird disconnect there. So
I still don't get the whole...
I guess people don't take animated characters as seriously, but I do feel like our generation who grew up with it, who understand that that's something where you can express way more insightful things.
You know what I don't get? This is one thing that's always plagued my mind. When it comes to like female, like the female anatomy and the male anatomy, why is it okay for a male to have his shirt off and show his tits?
Nipples.
But then it's not okay for a female to do that. I don't get that.
Because
See, fundamentally,
men.
it's a society. I don't honestly get that from a medical sort of look at it. I don't understand.
Looking at it from an isolated, clinical perspective,
but that's how I usually look at things, and I'm like,
it's one of those things that has been denied for so long that it's become a subject of
it's just so
fantasy
weird.
and
it
fascination.
So that then, in my mind, like I get it, but I don't at the same time. Like, how is this alright for a male to walk around with the same sort of
a guy walking around with sweaty, hairy?
It's okay for a female to be on TV or whatever with her nipples just taped over or whatever. That's okay.
Yeah.
Take that off, and it's not okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It's the bikini versus lingerie idea. It's so weird. It's the idea of the subject matter rather than the subject matter itself.
Yeah, that's just a tangent, guys. But I just
weird tangent. But
I know it's a weird tangent. But like when you think about it,
it's not undue in this conversation because in animation, that's something that you can totally throw in. Take Redline, which we recently did a review of. They're very casual with toplessness and female nudity. In a way that isn't sexualized. And currently there are live action TV shows that are being very casual with the human frame in general, in the subject of nudity.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's something that occasionally crosses into animation, especially in Japan, especially with anime, not so much with Western at the moment.
I think with the Japanese sort of, like with anime, they do over-sexualize people who are under the age of 18.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's a bit weird. It is a little bit weird.
You can't justify it. You can't justify that weird crap.
Like, I don't want to see like an underage... I don't want to see anyone who's underage body, really.
No, that's weird and gross.
I'm not really into that.
Again, that plays into the issue of maturity versus like on camera versus via animation.
Yeah.
And that weird disconnect where something's okay in animation but not in film.
Life,
and it is bizarre because that topic, those sorts of things can be tackled very easily in an animated sense. And it does allow for a more in-depth discussion through the mediums that show stuff like casual nudity or violence or extreme amounts of gore in a animated TV show.
Yeah.
You can show that and you can have that be a subject matter. Whereas it's so confronting as a visual format in real life that it sort of negates any real way you can talk about it. So I feel like, again, the immaturity at heart is actually causing the ability to have mature conversation and look at subjects. So it is weird. It's this weird hybrid where you need to acknowledge I'm immature. That's why I like
this watching this. But
I'm so sorry.
I can still. But see, that's one facet of it. Like, there's like you're immature for that one facet of your life, but then the rest of it, you're like everything's fine. You can go. You do all your work. You're like normal, completely normal person. And then you just watch that one thing, and it's like...
Yeah. Oh, you watch that dumb robot anime where it looks like they're having sex when they pilot the robots, Darling in the Franxx. But that's actually actually has some really interesting culturally relevant things to say. And the subject matter, the things that they tackle, they're pretty heavy, but... It's also hidden behind that over-sexualization, which is where you need to...
You know what?
You need to respect the fact that you're being entertained by immature things. And that's okay.
That's fine. Like, you can do that, but then...
Because then that can lead to conversations like this.
Yes. But, like, you just see, at the end of the day, yeah, you're probably immature. Like, at the really crux of it, you're immature maybe for watching anime or watching cartoons, but... It's about how you like live the rest of your life with that. So you're like, just because you do that one facet where you do that, like I work as like a site programmer and stuff, filmer and all that. I do all that with the most respect and maturity and stuff that I can. I'm a completely different person. Someone wouldn't even think, normal society, no one even points me out as someone who loves anime.
Yeah.
I just don't look like that type of guy, but that's what I love about it. I can have my own little niche, and it doesn't affect my entire life.
You've got a community. So what people say outside of your community shouldn't really impact you if it's just coming from a place of ignorance. So ultimately, that's what you should take away from this, is that the result of this conversation doesn't really matter as long as you're confident in what you're doing and what you're watching, what you enjoy.
I think the main thing of it is with the maturity is like, don't be a piece of crap as a person.
It is the Will Wheaton rule of the internet.
Yeah.
Don't be a
just be a nice person. It doesn't matter like what you like, as long as you're a nice person, people will accept you for it. Really,
watching anime is no more immature than watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine or Friends or Scrubs or any sort of comedy.
I think it's when people who are an asshole start going, oh no, I like this anime. You can't tell me, oh no, I like this sort of thing. You can't tell me otherwise. Blah blah blah. That's when the immaturity sort of pops through.
And that's going back to toxic fan base and the perceived toxic fan base, because we're not all like that. It is a very vocal minority that is like that, as with the Rick and Morty community.
It'd probably be like
we talked about earlier.
Literally, of like the people I've met who all like anime, the anime community sort of deal. I would say 5% of them are complete filth. The rest of them,
some people get way too intense, just like some people get way too intense about wrestling. Some people get way too intense about Star Wars or Game of Thrones. When you give someone something that they can hold in a high regard, it will always warp some people. They will feel like they're part of something that they need to protect or justify.
It's just their whole life. And I think that's sad when you have your whole life committed to that one thing. You sort of become blind. You don't really have anything to. You're not really an interested person at that point. You're just it's kind of a bland sort of.
And that's immaturity. Yeah, that's the inability to understand change and other perspectives. But again, that is a very vocal minority, and we're not saying that anyone in our audience is like that. You guys have all been pretty spectacular, and we are very thankful for that.
I don't think I've ever really dealt with someone who was really that bad.
We've dealt with passionate fans, but never rude or obsessive fans.
Yeah, and see, when we dealt with passionate fans, but when I question them on things or I say my point of view, they actually get back to me. It's like, yeah, sorry, I didn't think about that, or I didn't realize that.
And a lot of the time, people will say things online not expecting to be heard. Yeah. And when they do get a response, it's like, wow, I said this because I didn't think you'd even hear it. I didn't even mean it. I was just trying to stoke the fire.
Yeah, we'll definitely respond to you. Anything you say in the comments, you're going to be responded to. So.
Yeah, because we like you guys and we like building our community. And that's sort of a big point for why we wanted to talk about this and why we wanted to sort of bring a conversation into the enjoyment of anime.
We touched upon a lot of things in this topic. I don't even think we even really maturity and immaturity is such a big sort of thing that we could probably make our own.
And it is different. It's different, as you said, like maturity as being respected as an adult human being. Maturity of watching a cartoon that has ridiculous amounts of blood, gore, violence, boobs, sex, whatever. It's pretty. It's pretty crazy. And it does come from an immature place, but you can enjoy it as an adult, and that's the best part. So we do talk about a lot of stuff, and we get lost tangentially. Yeah. Ultimately, we're just saying everyone's different, everyone likes different stuff, and we're very thankful for the community that we've fostered. Because you guys are great. Don't be a... This is the end of topic 4. Thank you so much for putting up with our ramblings. We love you guys. We'll be down in the comments. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, next week.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Peace.
See you.